Welcome to Android Application Fundamentals. In this session, we are emphasizing the importance of the basic app components, additional app components, resources and manifest file. So first, let's look at the activities. As you can see in this diagram, activity can have multiple states. Most of those states have separate callback methods. OnCreate callback is called when the activity is first created. Once that activity is about to become visible, onStart callback will be called. Also, onResume method called when the activity has become visible in the UI. At that point, activity is actually running and visible to the user. If another activity comes into the foreground, onPause callback will be called and that another activity will be focused for the user. Activity which was running previously is in pause state and it will call onResume method again if user returns to the activity back. Otherwise, if that activity is no longer visible, it will come into the stop state. So let's look at how this is implemented in the code. This is a sample project I have created for demonstrate that functionality. In here I have main activity class. When I open that activity class, you can see that my main activity class is extended from the activity class, which is provided by the Android. In here we have few methods for callbacks which I have described earlier. Each of these methods we are calling super method because there are some OS level handling stuffs are declared in super class. So we must have to call super method before doing anything inside those callbacks. In onCreate callback, you can see that setContentView is there. In that method, we are setting up the UI layout using the resource layouts and its layout name is ActivityMain. If I open that layout in here, you can see that we have visual UI for the activity. And also, when we are adding an activity, there will be an entry in Android manifest file. In here you can see that activity entry is there. It is describing the activity name and also the intent filter for activity. Now let's look at the services. In Android, service is a general purpose entry point for keeping an app running in the background for all kind of reasons. In here I have described two life cycles for unbounded services and bounded services. In unbounded services, the service can be started with start service method which is called by an external client. Once that client is invoked start service method, the service class is calling onCreate callback and then it is calling the onStart command callback. Afterwards, service is entered into the running state. So you can terminate service itself after doing certain task or even client can send a request to stop the service. With bounded services, client can be called that service with bind service method. Once client invoke that method, service itself have a callback onCreate and that callback will be called. Afterwards, service will called onBind callback and then clients are bound to the service. Once all clients unbinded by calling unbind service, onDestroyed method will called and service will be shutted down. Now let's look at the implementation of unbound service. In here, I have declared sample unbound service class which is extended from service class. Here we have onCreate callback, onStart command callback, onBind callback and onDestroy callback. Since this is an unbound service, we are returning null for onBind callback. Here I am using main activity to start my service and also the stop this service. As same as the activity, we need to put an entry in Android manifest XML to introduce this service to the Android system. So I have to put that service tag in here and also put in service name in there. Now let's look at the Android broadcast receivers. A broadcast receiver is an Android component which allows you to register for system or application events. All registered receivers for an event are notified by the Android runtime once this event happens. Now let's look at how to add new broadcast receiver to existing project. I am right clicking on the project explorer and go to new, other, broadcast receiver. In here we can provide class name for our broadcast receiver and need to provide export and enabled options in there. Once I click finish, we can see new class created for the broadcast receiver. In this class we have callback method called onReceive. This method is called when the broadcast receiver is receiving a particular event. When we are adding that myReceiver class, corresponding element is added to Android manifest by registering this broadcast receiver. So we might need to set an intent filter to filter out events which we need to receive for our broadcast receiver. So I am adding new intent filter and action for my event. In here I am giving action Android name as Android intent action power connected. This will allows me to notify when power is connected to the device. When my device is connected with the power, my receiver class will receive event onto onReceive method and we can implement necessary things in here to handle that power connected event. So thank you very much for watching this video, and this video has been prepared with the support of Commonwealth of Learning.